What do you think about all in-the-box mixing compared to all analog or hybrid mixing?
An important question nowadays. Maybe for those that don't know, I mixed in the box for how many years? 20 probably. I created some spectacular mixes. It's not so much a problem. And nowadays it's even easier than when I was young. I mean, that was 30 years ago when I started, now even more, when I started with my in-the-box mixes. But for me, as a young engineer, I mean, Pro Tools just got, I think, 32 tracks or maybe 48. So it just started to be possible. And I thought, well, as a student, I could buy a Pro Tools Mix Plus, I think was the name back then. I could afford this. I could afford 2 speakers. Then I could have my own studio. I could just spend hours and hours training all this. And that made, for me, at that time, more sense than to go into another studio with bands. But I still was learning. So I thought that I need maybe more time for a mix to compete with the best mixers in my country, and this was the only thing that was of interest for me. And so I thought it was a very great idea to have my own studio with this Pro Tools, and I just trained. And at that time, just really every other engineer in Switzerland laughed at me and said, Daniel, never ever would you be able to mix in Pro Tools as good as I could mix on my SSL. And there is even one mixer in Switzerland that is a teacher colleague now at the same university, and we often laugh about this because now he just works in Pro Tools and loves it, and I'm the guy who mixes analog now, so it's basically changed. But yeah, I mean, of course you can mix digital, and nowadays a lot of mixers that 10 years ago, well, they said, I will never mix digital. Well, they are now digital. Andrew Sheps, even Michael Brower. So yeah, of course, I mean, that's absolutely possible. However, in analog, you can just do more. And if you mix digital, you need better sources. That's very clear. And if you really get shabby sources in, then you really have trouble to get a great mix just in the box. Then you have to be creative or whatever. But I mean, it's a basic fact. If I bring here, and I hear this every day, and I do this test every week with my students, if we give the tracks to our beautiful KDEC board, we insert some outboard. It's so fast that we have a great sound that is giving you a hug, that is surrounding you. Everybody is smiling, and this just doesn't happen in digital so fast. Moreover, if it is recorded bad. But if you would ask me, will I ever mix digital again? I would say no, because analog mixing has also its disadvantages. The automation, I cannot automate my compression things. I would have to do recalls. However, I don't do recalls anymore. So this was like my solutions to the problem. If the client wants to mix with my beautiful analog outboard and my KDEC console, he can. But there won't be any recalls ever. Just no recalls. I don't even write down my settings, because recalls are a huge problem analog. Most mixers that went digital, they say it was because of the recalls. In Pro Tools, you have your recall in 1 minute. If the singer wants a new track where just the vocal level is 1 dB up, you just do this in 1 minute. If you have to do a recall on the analog thing, you have 4 hours. And even then, the analog thing is not sounding exactly the same. So for me, the solution is just no recall. If the client doesn't accept it, then I would mix digital. Then he can have as many recalls as he wants. Yeah, but I really personally think that my mixes are a lot better since I'm on this analog KDEC. There is just a sonic beauty in the highs, in the lows, in the mids. There is a depth of feel. There is a effortless listening, and just everything is mixed kind of naturally. To me, it's like little rivers that are coming down from the mountains, and they just melt together into a big river, but no programming is needed. The water is organizing itself. Maybe there is a little bit turbulences or whatever, a little bit chaos. I feel that's the same on an analog mixing board. If 2 signals are coming that would fight, but kind of in the analog summing, the problem is solved already a little bit. While in digital, the summing is totally precise, and so if you have a fight, you just have to fight.
What is your approach to mixing drum and bass in order to retain punch and clarity for the respective elements?
Yeah, drum and bass, I mean, that depends totally on the genre and on the music and how is the bass recorded, how is the bass drum recorded. Usually I try to give both a lot of energy. I know some people say you should get either a really big bass sound and maybe the bass drum is a little bit smaller, but I like if both is big sounding. Usually what I try to is to not having ugly resonances in the bass drum. And sometimes moreover on younger drummer you have this, because the bass drum is round, you have some resonating peaks. I usually filter those out. And I listen both together, bass drum and the bass. I usually make sure that both are in phase. Because with DI boxes on a bass, it's very easy that actually the bass drum will first push, go like this, and maybe the bass goes like this. And if both have to basically reproduce 50, 60, 70 hertz, as you know, if the bass drum is giving like first the plus energy and then goes to the minus, and the other instrument is going like this, then you give this information on the speaker. That does not sound good. So I actually check that both are in phase, that both are really pushing the speaker, and then the speaker goes back so that this is in phase. This is extremely important. If there is a fight between bass drum and bass, that does not sound good, and sometimes you have this fight, sometimes you just have bad luck, the bass drum doesn't melt nicely with the bass. Then what is a good trick is to basically have a compressor or an equalizer just at this band where the fight is, and then you set up a sidechain so that whenever the bass drum is playing, either the bass gets compressed a little bit or the fighting frequency gets reduced a little bit. If you want to reduce the fighting frequency, but just when the bass drum is playing, actually with the FET filter, what's the name? Pro Q3. It works really good. You have the bass drum track in Pro Tools. You set up a send, and then you get that send back in the plugin. Then you have the band, and there is a button you have to press in the band, and there you can activate the sidechain. And then whenever the bass drum is hitting our frequency, let's say it's 70 hertz, goes down, goes up again, then the fight is solved. So this is one method, but yeah, there are many more. But in general, I think the bass should have a lot of bass and be powerful, and so should be the bass drum. And then basically you just make it work. And sometimes I compress my bass drum, but very often it's also not so much compressed, so that we just have a lot of impulse. Yeah, maybe that's to end the question. I like if the bass drum has a very clear impulse, even in jazz, that it's like a percussive element. I want to hear that it's a drum instrument. And I also like it if it's electric bass, have enough highs. And I think it's very important to use an amp for the electric bass. I don't like to add a DI signal, because we always need highs in the bass. That's very important. I want to be able to hear what happens at the fret, at the fingerboard. And you need highs for this. Now, if the bass player plays with a DI box, maybe for him it's okay, but he won't hear any highs. If you boost it later, you have not so much precision, because if you want precision with what he exactly plays in the finger, you need to make sure the bass player hears it actually correct. And if he has an amp, usually the performance is also better. So I like it if electric basses, if they are playing through good amps and those are mic'd. I think that's very important. And in jazz, with the double basses, here really the most important thing is the quality on the double bass player. If the double bass is boomy, or if the double bass player is not able to produce energy, well then that's what we have, like a kind of boomy sound.
If you were to mix a song all in the box, but only allowed one outboard gear, which outboard gear will you choose and why?
Well, either it would be the Fairman Tube Master EQ, because that's such a great piece and gives a nice harmonic distortion but subtle, or then it would be the Unfairchild by Undertone Audio, because that is a great compressor. It gives great character, it gives great punch, and it really changes the mix a lot, and very often to the good. So yeah, let's answer this question short. Unfair child or unfair man? Very clearly.